Hey folks, thanks for tuning in today. My name's Matt Crape. I'm a senior technical product marketing manager here at Veeam. I'm joined with Sean from Nutanix. Sean, why don't you give us a quick introduction about yourself?
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me. I'm with Nutanix, as you said, and I am a solutions evangelist here. And I kind of, oversee EUC and our service provider partners. And yeah, it's really great to be here and to join you for this conversation, this fireside chat without the fireside.
Yeah, I'm game for that. That's for sure. Yeah, Veeam Nutanix, very long-standing relationship, and something that's kind of stood the test of time. And I mean, let's be honest, it's a relationship that's only getting stronger. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention the elephant in the room with everything that's going on, Broadcom and VMware, and
Yeah.
seeing lots of folks looking at changes for hypervisors and what they're running their infrastructure on. And Nutanix definitely seems to be one of those ones that's always on the list for, consideration. You must be seeing a ton of that in the field.
Oh, we're seeing a lot of interest, a lot of renewed interest, and a lot of the way I like to equate it or think about it is, and it's an experience that I had at the Omnissa One event a while back. You had a lot of VMware Horizon or Omnissa Horizon now administrators who it was almost like they were locked in a basement for years, and they came out of the basement and they saw the daylight and they saw the sunshine and they saw that they could run Horizon on other hypervisors other than ESX. And the interest was amazing. It was like, this newfound curiosity that they had in realizing that they now had the opportunity and the ability to run on other hypervisors, AHV, of course, being the one that they're most interested in, of course, from our perspective. But yeah, it's really amazing. It's really exciting to be in this market at this time.
Yeah, and you said something that really rings true to me. I used to be a VDI admin. I managed Horizon infrastructure that we had. And to me, the thought of decoupling VMware from vSphere, like it just seems like such an odd idea, but yet
Yeah.
here we are, right?
Yeah.
It's reality now. And although unintentional, I think that kind of paints the picture of some of the challenges that folks may have had previously when it comes to vendor lock-in. So
Mm,
Horizon, I think, is a little bit different because it was kind of intentionally spun out and sold off. But sometimes you wind up in a situation where you invest in something and you realize, hey, you know what? Maybe we're a little bit locked in. Going
yeah.
back to VMware as an example, I know we at Veeam, we're seeing a ton of interest in folks migrating to other hypervisors. Of course, AHV is top of
Yep.
that list for many folks. And we're able to provide some tools and capacity to help them have that transition. So you don't need to learn a new tool. You can take your backups, you can restore them to the new hypervisor. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on what's it like? What are you seeing from customers who are making that move? What is their, first impressions like?
Well, it's getting out of the vendor lock-in and the challenges that they were limited to, and they were locked. Well, we called it locked in for a reason, but it's the limiting of that innovation. It's increasing the long-term costs, and it's not just about the changes that Broadcom was making as far as the licensing costs, but also the uncertainty that was breeding within the market, and then the changes that they made to their partner program also. It's like, what the heck is going on? And everybody's got this huge anxiety. I actually called it Broadcom anxiety original at the conference. And it's that renewed interest. Like I said, the customers are seeing now in exploring the open, flexible platforms like Nutanix to avoid that lock-in and maintain that agility and bring in that freedom of choice. And it's not just the long-term costs that they were feeling the impact from, but it was the fact that they didn't have a choice in what they were going to run, and not being able to be hypervisor agnostic, hardware agnostic, or even like AHV is API driven for the integration, something that Veeam really capitalizes on and does such a great job when it comes to the simplicity of the backup and restore solutions. It's just, yeah, like I said, it's a new day. I'm skipping through fields of daisies with sunshine up my back, I guess. It's just feels so great, liberating. That's the one. There you go.
Yeah, and that's such an interesting point that you bring up there is that there's some technical debt that you sometimes incur by being stuck to a specific platform.
Yeah.
You mentioned, for example, Horizon, and now folks can go out there and run Horizon on what they might deem is the best of breed platform and tools for what they're trying to achieve.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it's not just VDI. Obviously, we're seeing this across the board. On our end, for example, we have application-aware image processing for our Nutanix backups. So you could go in there, you could do something like back up your Active Directory controller, domain controller, and restore individual objects. So you're able to get that granular restore capabilities that you need. But
Yeah.
much that same point, on the Nutanix side, it's not just VDI. I'm sure you're seeing all sorts of use cases from VDI to enterprise applications to probably just even a lot of traditional VMs.
Yeah, it's not just like you said. It's enterprises really are looking to run it all, and and really expanding. Or this is going to sound so cheesy. Broadening their horizons. Is that cheesy?
But
Is that cheesy? Yeah, that's cheesy. So really running the VMs, their containers, their databases across hybrid environments. And that's where I think Veeam and Nutanix, to deliver really on that unified backup and recovery for virtual, physical, cloud workloads, and to be automated. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but policy-based automation gives you that consistency in protection without the complexity. And that's what I think I love the most is, that's one thing that is our North Star, our joint mutual North Stars here with Veeam and Nutanix is simplicity, simplifying the complexity that's involved in not just your enterprise IT operations and infrastructure management, but also the backup and recovery of virtual, physical, and cloud-based workloads. Just, it makes everybody's job easier, I think is what it does.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that you call it the policy-based management. As a former customer myself, one of the things I loved about Veeam at the time was kind of the set it and forget it mentality. And with the
Yeah.
integrations that we have with Nutanix Prism Central, we're able to leverage things like categories. So you could just say, hey, you know what? We're building a new workflow. We're provisioning VMs, whether it's part of the VDI infrastructure or not. Tag it with a gold policy, tag it with a bronze policy, and just let the backups handle themselves so you know
Yeah.
that you're not going to actually miss anything,
Right.
which I think is actually a key point. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this is, do you have any common advice for folks who are thinking about migrating to a new hypervisor?
That's great. I mean, do it. Do it. Absolutely. Consider migrating hypervisors because hypervisors, I mean, as far back as I can remember, the hypervisor wars, which was really kind of, I scratch my head and I think about that because it was really created by I won't name one particular vendor who really wanted to protect the socket. And so they got very defensive of their hypervisor. But in my mind, of course, coming from Citrix and now Nutanix, the hypervisor has always been just a commodity. It's just a free license, item that you just have. And so you should be able to freely assess what your hypervisor is and be able to change it. You look at your application dependencies, your performance requirements. You want to minimize downtime, of course, and maintain the integrity of your data during the migration. But it should be something that you should be able to migrate. And Nutanix, of course, and Veeam as well, simplify that migration. And we even have native tools to do that with. And then you add Veeam into it to ensure that data protection throughout. And it almost becomes, migrating hypervisors is like, choosing what car to drive. Just go up to a lot and just choose your car. Well, I don't know. Is that legal? Just take any car you want. Maybe that was a bad analogy, but you get the idea.
I get the idea. I mean, and what's interesting about that is once, an IT organization can come to that realization and figure out what they actually need to do to unlock that agility, it actually becomes a real strength for them. It could become the difference, between them and a competitor. If they can move to their best of breed, whether it's for performance reasons, cost reasons, whatever it might be, just when they need to, like that's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
One of the things, that I'll throw out there that I always talk to folks when we talk about hypervisor migration is don't forget about day two. I work for Veeam, so
Hmm.
obviously there's data protection sort of glance view on that. But get everything migrated, but then make sure your jobs are still running the way you expect them to on day two. Test
Right.
that recoverability. Make sure you have all the monitoring, the reporting, everything that you need before it's too late.
Yeah.
Before, I mean, in this day and age, cyber threats are real. And, I think this is one area where that Veeam Nutanix story is really, really strong. I know you've got a great, talk track around threat prevention. So I'll turn it over to you. Like, what differentiates AHV when it comes to threat protection?
Well, it's the solutions that integrate with AHV from a Nutanix perspective. Like you said, day two operations. I mean, I love the fact that Veeam brings in that immutable backup and instant recovery strategy. And that to me, that's day two, obviously, and beyond. That's just that zero downtime, driving towards that zero downtime. But you also mentioned in the threat, in the attack surface. And that's where I always like to say, if you're in enterprise IT and you don't lose sleep at night worried about the your data protection against malware, ransomware, then you have better medications than I do. Because in enterprise IT, that occupies every moment of thought. And that's where I love the Nutanix unified storage solution. It's not just the high performance scalable storage for backup repositories that Veeam can leverage for the snapshots and fast efficient backup and recovery points and all that stuff. But this data lens is it's like my favorite stepchild. Data lens is this malware, ransomware detection, secret agent that we have. And it really goes in. It doesn't just look at the signature files of known threats. It does that, but it also looks at anomalistic patterns. Say that 10 times fast. Anomalistic patterns. So it looks at, in activity that may be happening in your file system and your storage areas that is out of the ordinary. And maybe that's an indicator that you have malware introduced into your system. And the way I love to think about this is if you grew up in Generation X, like some people did, myself included, we always thought that we were going to catch on fire. And we had this fire prevention thing. It was stop, drop, and roll. And I like to, draw that into data lens, because if it identifies or recognizes through either the signature pattern or the anomaly behavior that malware or ransomware has been introduced, it stops it from spreading. So and then it blocks it from going further. So stop, block, and then roll back to a last known good, so that you can really minimize and really almost eliminate downtime with the malware, ransomware threats that exist. And it really helps you sleep better at night. And then knowing that you've got the added extra protection of Veeam with your immutable backups. I love just saying that. Can we just say immutable a couple of times here? And add on to that the micro segmentation, the network segmentation, all that. You just really have a good defense posture against ransomware and malware attacks, I think. I know I went
Oh,
on for a while, but I had to get in the stop, drop, and roll.
Oh, well, I mean, A, I love the stop, drop, and roll, brings true to the childhood. And B, you're probably much like me. You probably thought that you'd be running into quicksand a lot more often in your life. I
Mm-hmm.
know I've yet
I
to
was just
actually
going to
see
say,
it. Yeah.
We got to work in quicksand in there
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, but no, what I love the story around the data lens is you're able to detect these threats as maybe they've breached the environment and they're hitting workloads that are running on the platform,
Yeah.
right? So you've got that protection there. Then when you layer Veeam in on top of that, we do so many checks, whether it's part of the backup, maybe it's even before backup. Maybe you're running stuff like Recon Scanner, just looking for
Yeah.
weird behavior as well in the Veeam infrastructure.
Yeah.
But then to your point, you're performing scans throughout this, and it's not necessarily for, just a handful of threats. It's for a wide variety of threats. And
Yeah.
where the sort of Veeam secret sauce comes in, where we play together really nicely, is say you find a threat. As we're doing the restore, we can actually perform a Yara scan to pinpoint exactly when did that threat get into that specific VM. Or
Yep.
maybe it's a matter of we want to do a signature-based scan to look for things to make sure that we're restoring clean data. So when you
Yeah.
start piling this all on top of each other, like that's a really, really strong resilience story.
Oh, it's amazing. I love that. The real-time monitoring and analytics, and it's the backup health and performance because I don't know. I mean, obviously you're in the industry, but the stories of somebody finding out that they've been infiltrated somewhere and then they restore from a
Hmm.
backup and then they restore the actual, malware, virus, whatever it happened to be, because they backed it up with the virus. It's like, okay, that's just not sound practice. That's I
It's
mean,
frowned
I've
upon.
I've worked in environments where we lost I mean, this goes back a few years, but we lost 6 months of data because of something along those lines. It's just, yeah, it was tough. It was tough sledding. So,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love that you call out the monitoring and the analytics. We do that all from Veeam One. Veeam One supports a ton of different reports for Nutanix workloads. We've got the
yeah,
Veeam Threat Center, which is a fantastic dashboard for that at a glance to kind of understand what your data resiliency level and score is and all that.
yeah,
But we've also been talking a lot about VMs in general. I mean, Veeam does more than just VM backups. I know Nutanix does more than just,
yeah,
VMs as well. Like,
yeah.
what can you tell me, for example, about Kubernetes?
That's where I love the Veeam and Nutanix, connection is we've got I'm going to throw an acronym at you. NKP, that's our Nutanix Kubernetes platform. Oh, I'm going to get hip with you too. That is all about orchestrating and managing your K8s, as the cool kids call it, the Kubernetes. Yeah, the backup and disastery for those containerized applications. Again, it's that, steal another word from somebody else, that synergy that we have going on here. It's not, again, it's not just VMs, it's the containers, it's the cloud native workloads that are really coming to their own, prominence, most notably because of, wait a minute, Matt. We've gone this whole interview, this whole conversation without saying AI
Oh no,
once.
got a hand in
Oh,
our street cred.
oh my God, how did we get here? But containers are really blowing up because of AI. AI apps are being deployed on cloud native as cloud native workloads, and so it's being able to back up those Kubernetes containers, disaster recovery, the containerized apps, as well as your VMs, as well as your cloud workloads. It's really covering everywhere that we're deploying and running our workloads. It's great.
Yeah. Sean, you and I, we could probably talk all day. Unfortunately, we are hitting time.
Oh,
Any
wait a minute.
last
That's the only thing I had on my calendar today. Don't tell anyone we didn't talk all day.
any last words for the audience who's watching this?
Yeah, consider, evaluate your hypervisor. If you're stuck on a legacy hypervisor from yesteryear because of the lock-ins that we talked about earlier, really do yourself that favor and really evaluate the hypervisors that are available on market. And when you're evaluating the hypervisors, if you're looking to change, look at the integrations that the hypervisor has, like AHV has, with other vendors in the ecosystem that bring extra added value. And again, not subtle, very heavy-handed. Nutanix and Veeam have that integration, that API level integration that really brings you that simplicity to your enterprise IT environment. So do yourself a favor and roll your sleeves up and dig into it. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb, Matt, and say that as a result of listening to this segment, our audience qualifies. Is this right? Our audience qualifies to receive a free email. That is true? I think that is true.
A free email.
A free email coming your way that will give you more information on the integrations between Veeam and Nutanix. But Matt, it's been great to talk to you. We got to catch up more often, buddy.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I love this. For those of you watching, if you want to learn more, both Veeam and Nutanix have fantastic communities. You can find them online, communities.veeam.com. Veeam's got the R&D forums. I know Nutanix has a very strong community led up by Angelo, good buddy of mine. Yeah. And on the Veeam side, if you're looking to try out more, you can download the 30-day trial of Veeam Data Platform today. We've got the Veeam software appliance, which is still new and fresh and hip and all that. Sean, anything that you want to point viewers to?
Yeah, take a test drive. We have an amazing test drive system here, free of charge. Do it at your own pace, in your own pajamas, in your own office, whatever you want to do. And you can actually test drive all of our solutions right on Nutanix.com. And it's a great, great way to get some experience and exposure to these great technologies.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks all for tuning in.
You too, buddy. Bye.
Bye.